Alright, give you about 15 more seconds to get ready. Grab highlighters. If you want to use colored pencils, you can use colored pencils also. Just underline instead of highlight. I took attendance very wrong. There we go. I know what I'm doing. I'm smart. Okay, here we go. Alright, so we're going to start with parallel lines. So what did we know about parallel lines? What is kind of like our definition of parallel lines? What do we know is true about parallel lines? They never touch. Instead of using the word touch, we're going to use our academic vocabulary. Intersect. So academic of us. Makes me sound very smart. They never intersect. Okay, and as we look at two lines that never intersect yesterday, what did we talk about with those slopes? What do we know about them if they're going in the same direction? Parallel lines have the same slopes. They're equal. Okay, so same slopes. Alright, so this is where I'm going to use one highlighter to kind of highlight, notate the important parts, is that we have parallel lines. Parallel means same slopes. So one highlighter for that. Doesn't have to be yellow. If you like the same colors and yellow is not available, use colored pencil. But parallel means same slopes. We're just kind of taking out the big important parts of today. Okay, then we have perpendicular lines. And what do we know about perpendicular lines? What's that definition of perpendicular? Perpendicular does mean that they do touch, they intersect, but they intersect specifically at what? 90. Good. Okay, and again, as we look at yesterday, what did we find out about those slopes of perpendicular lines? Okay, yesterday we talked about perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. So we're going to put that on this paper too. Okay, opposite reciprocal slopes. Okay, and I'm going to highlight that with my other color. So whatever other color you're using today, we'll notate that. So if you need to grab another color or grab a colored pencil to underline. These two colors. Alright, today we're going to be writing equations. When we write equations, we are going to be using the slope-intercept form because that's usually kind of our go-to in algebra because it's easy to graph and it's easy to write. It's easy to make a table out of. So we're going to do a slope-intercept form. Just as a reminder, currently right now when kids are coming in and asking for help on Algebra 2, they're asking for help with slope-intercept form. So not only is this kind of a flashback to intermediate algebra, it's also kind of a flash forward to what you're going to be doing next year in Algebra 2. So slope-intercept form always looks like y equals, and then it starts with our slope, so m. Johara, put away your phone. X plus And then what plus what? B. Good. Y equals mx plus b. Hopefully that's reminding yourself of something. Okay, and m represents which part? Slope. And what does b tell us? Good. I like when somebody whispered that very quietly. They said y-intercept. Even though it's only called slope-intercept form, it's important that we remember this is the y-intercept. It's where it crosses the y-axis. All right, and then we're going to do 2 problems today. The first problem, we're going to kind of mix the easy with the hard, and then the second problem, it's hard, but we'll make it easy. Does that make sense? Brain. Okay, and the reason why is because the homework I assigned is not exactly the way that I wanted it to look, so there is going to be a problem that looks like this that I wanted to make sure you knew. Okay, so number 1. Oh, shoot. Can't get your current location.
That wasn't me.
Nuts. What was your Siri?
That wasn't me.
Yeah, it was. All right, number 1. Write an equation. We're going to write out the directions on this one. Parallel to y equals 9/4 x minus 1. And goes through seven, 5. That's an ordered pair. 7, 5. All right, so as we take a look at this, and we're going to solve this, we need to write an equation that looks like y equals mx plus b, where we need to fill in the m and the b with this information that makes it true. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by looking at what kind of equation we're trying to find. And it says parallel, so I'm going to use my handy dandy yellow, because that's what I did my parallel in. So whatever color you use for parallel. Okay, and parallel has to have the same slopes. So as I take a look at this equation, what is the slope of this line? Which one is the m? What goes with the x? 9/4, good. So as I look at my new equation, I know that my m has to be the same. So what is my m going to be? 9/4. Okay, that's really the big starting point today, is that part. Okay, and that's what we learned from yesterday, is really that part. So now what we're going to do is we need to find a new b. The b is no longer going to be -1. We need a new b so that it's a new line but the same slope. It's a parallel line. So we're going to write y equals, I'm going to keep that m, 9/4x, and then I'm going to write plus b. We don't know that b yet. Originally the b was -1, but now that b is going to change. Okay, what I do know is that in this new line, Abdi Majid, put away your phone. Thank you. Is that when I put in 7 for x as my input, what do I get out for my y? We get out 5. So this is my x and my y, and I'm going to put those in for my x and my y here. So instead of saying y equals, we're going to use 5. We're going to substitute, switch out. 5 equals 9/4 times, what's my x? 7 plus b. Now the reason why this one is easy but hard, it's easy because we were able to keep the slope. But now we're going to make it hard because 9 over 4 times 7, are we going to get a whole number or a fraction? A fraction. It's going to be fine because we can handle fractions. We're smart people. Okay, so we're going to find that answer. So we get 5 equals, and then in my Desmos calculator, which is on your homework, we're going to type in 9 over 4 times 7, and we do want it to be a fraction. So we hit this little circle with the little boxes, and our answer would be 63 over 4. Plus b. Okay, and then our goal is to get b by itself. This one, I can't really do mental math. I don't know, honestly, I don't know what 63 over 4 plus what would be 5. So I'm going to undo that 63 over 4. So how do we undo adding? Subtracting. So subtract 63 over 4. If we do it on one side, we do it on the other side. So on the left side, right side here, the 63 over 4 is gone, and we're left with just b. Okay, and then this, again, I don't expect you to know that in your head. That's why you have a calculator. Okay, calculators are super smart, but we have to know what to type in them. So 5 minus 63 over 4, and we're going to make it a fraction. We get negative 43 over 4. Okay, so right here, that negative 43 over 4. So for our final answer we want it to look like y equals, we need an mx, and then our b. So we need to fill in the numbers here. All right, final answer should have a y and an x involved. So what's going to be the coefficient of the m? Or the coefficient of the x? What's our m? We said m is 9 over 4, x, and then what was our b? Okay, now in your homework today, they don't like you to do a plus negative because they want you to write it simpler. Adding a negative is the same thing as just subtracting, so minus 43 over 4. Okay, there is one problem in your homework where it's going to be a little crazy like this. You're going to get a weird fraction, and it's okay. You're going to be fine. We're going to live through it. Fractions are real life. We don't always live in math book land where everything turns out nice and whole. It's just not the way life works. All right, last one, number 2. Now this one we're going to start off, the first step is hard, and then we'll do the solving part. We'll do an easier version. Okay, so number 2, we're going to do perpendicular. Now if I was a good teacher, I would make you write out all the directions. And we would say, write an equation perpendicular to, but that's a lot of work. So we're just going to write perpendicular. Y equals negative 2x minus 5. And it's going to go through 2, 4. All right, so the first thing that we're always going to do on these problems is figure out our slope. So as I take a look at our slope, we're doing perpendicular now. So I'm going to switch colors, whatever color you use for perpendicular. Okay, perpendicular is no longer the same. Perpendicular has to be opposite reciprocal. So we're going to break that down. What is my current slope of this line? What is my current m? Negative 2. So what I need to do with negative 2, that's my starting, is I need to do 2 steps with it. This is my thinking part. Generally speaking, when I'm working through problems, I don't take time to write this. But this is our notes, so we're going to show our thinking. The first thing we're going to do is do the opposite. So what is the opposite of negative 2? Positive 2. But it's not just the opposite, It's the opposite reciprocal. So we have to flip it. So that's my second step. It's 2 steps. Opposite, reciprocal. So as a fraction, I need to flip it upside down. But what's kind of hard is 2 and negative 2 aren't fractions. So how can I write 2 or negative 2 as fractions? Negative 2 over 1. Then the opposite would be positive 2 over 1. So the reciprocal is 1 over 2. So my m, my new m, is 1 over 2. And I'm going to highlight that. I know it doesn't match that negative 2, but we did get this 1/2 from that negative 2. I had to switch. Okay, this is my thinking. This is what I usually do in my head. Some people I noticed today are taking time and writing it out, and that's fine, obviously. It's always okay to show more work. All right, now we just have to do this last part where we find out what b is. So we know that we have y equals negative, nope, what's our slope? 1 over 2, sorry. 1/2 x, and we're finding a new b. This -5 no longer works. It could be -5, but we need to figure out what's going to make it work with 2, 4. So when I put 2 in, we get out 4. So what am I going to replace the y with? Which number is my output? The 2 or the 4? The 4, good, because it goes x, y. So we're going to say 4 equals 1/2 times, what's our x? 2 plus an unknown number. We have to figure out what that number is to make this work. So to solve that, the first step we're going to do is multiply 1/2 of 2. And you might need to use a calculator, and that's okay. Most of us can do that mental math if you think 1/2 of. What's 1/2 of 2? 1/2 of 2? 1, yeah. 1/2 of 2 is 1. Thank you, Alex. Okay, plus b. And then most of you could probably finish this without having to show your work algebraically. You can think through it. What 1 plus what number is 4? 3. But some of you might get carried away and you just really love algebra and you're like, cool, it's +1. How do I get rid of +1? Subtract 1. And then b equals 3. But that's not our final answer. We're so close. Okay, our final answer, we're going to write y equals, and which part comes first, the m or the b? The m, and the m is 1/2 x plus, what's our b? 3. You need to write that m and b there to remind yourself. Okay, so when you do your practice today, there are some problems where you're going to get fractions, and that's okay. I think it's just one of them that you get the weird fractions. I think it's just number 6. So sorry about that. But fractions are real life. We can't always live in the math perfect world of everything turns out nice. Every now and again we can work with fractions. You guys are smart. You're capable. Alright, there is practice. Practice is open in Schoology. It's called 3-4. I did update grades before school today. The 3-3 practice is going to go in as missing at the end of the day today. You can put it in there. Okay, so if you didn't finish the 3-3 homework, today would be a good day to finish that. That's going to go in as missing. And then there is 3-4 homework. The point of homework is to get help to understand what you are doing. So it is okay today to ask for help. Lots of you should be asking for help. Today is a weird, I don't know. These assignments are not my favorite.
Here's that.
Yeah, can you fill out a pass? And then I did get your one-pager, and you technically did 2 1-pagers on 1 1-pager, so I gave you credit for 2 1-pagers. Because chapter 2 is split into 2. So you should see that those 2 are taken out. Did you actually start your pass? You did it. Oh, you did it. Thank you. All right, 3-4 practice is open.
Went to Minneapolis. Oh, does he live there? Okay, so he drives every day? Wow. I told him to stay here. I don't know why he left.
On number 2, you're going to have 2 answers for each group. On number 2, there's 2 answers for each. There's equations you will not use. So on number 2, you should just have 2 answers in each box. You will not use all the answers.
You know why? Because I looked at the map and they were so zoomed in. I had to cut that out if you wanted to go. Why did they do that? So I thought. Anything with this?
Number 2, there should be 2 in each group.
Just asking what the Just asking for the M. What's the M in the first one? No, you remember. Oh, that one? Thank you. There's in there? I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I have to, it doesn't let me do it. Yeah, I have to go in and do that. Yep. Thank you. Okay, Jordan, it's time to get your workout.